Okay, so there's a lot of stuff kind of going on that's kind of helped make this. Kind of personal stuff that has been going on in sort of my head, right? Like, why should we listen to what this fucking loser nerd in his mother's, well, not basement, because my mother can't afford a basement, and this is Britain where having a basement is expensive. Right, if you live in your mother's basement, congratulations, you're rich. Um, well, why should you give a shit what I think? Um, because I'm in this sort of odd position whereby generally men are, they are, generally speaking, either misogynists or just really don't give a shit, or they are full-on feminists as soon as they kind of put their act together, right? I sort of feel basically until about college it wasn't an issue. I almost didn't see sort of gender in a way that, like, you know, some white people don't see race. You know, it's that kind of thing of you're so above it, you're just like, well, of course they're equals. Who the fuck you talking about, right? Like, it just wouldn't even occur to me that, what do you mean? There is gender disparity. I didn't even know gender dimorphism was a thing until a few years ago, right? Like, it was just, women are equal. We live in the 21st century. What the fuck are you talking about, you goddamn Neanderthals? And that's literally how I referred to sort of men who objectified women. We're talking about fucking Neanderthals. And obviously this was before I really gave a shit about advertising and stuff, because I was a kid, right? I was a kid. I didn't know. I didn't care. I was the autistic nerd who is too busy, you know, watching Doctor Who or Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or playing with his Nintendo 64, right? To kind of know or care about sort of representation and shit like that. And then I basically, I think it was either the first or the last day of 2009. I think, yeah, it must have been the first day of 2009 that I basically decided to make it my New Year's resolution to build a Dalek. And this got me interested in the nerd fandom, the Doctor Who fandom. This got me talking to people, sort of, and on the various forums, cobbling together my social skills through discovering the Doctor Who books and the Seventh Doctor, kind of cobbling together a sense of my own morality and my place in the world. And also, this is when I started writing. And you flash forward a couple of years, i.e., after I sort of complete my college degree, and I'm now in my first year of university, and I'm writing the series that is called Green-Eyed Nothing, but is adapted from the book series that I wrote, called the Chronicles of William Dixon Wright. And these are, because they exist, they are things, I have wrote them, they are appallingly awful. And what do you think happens when a man who grows up not seeing that there is a problem with gender in this society decides to go and write a story? What do you think happens then? So I didn't think I didn't think I had a problem with gender and sexuality. I thought I was, what are you talking about? People are equal. I'm just writing these stories because I have plots to write and this thing's cool. Right? I mean, also, like, I was on this sort of, throughout this sort of evolution of sort of, I suppose, social morality, there is this sort of thing going on of like my biology kind of short-circuiting and like me sort of going through puberty, stalling, and then sort of trying to convince myself, no, everything is fine, everything is fine, everything is fine, and basically discovering fetishes. And through those fetishes saying, yeah, I'm fine, look at me, I'm a heterosexual man, I like microphilia, so I like women, woo! I really hope, yeah, I'm definitely going to have to add NSFW on this. Because if you were working and that just blared out. Yeah, like, throughout all this period which is going on of me doing the writing and stuff, I am in deep denial about my biology being wrong, and I'm trying, and the fact that I am bisexual, so I'm trying to prove that I'm heterosexual through discovering fetishes and writing fetishistic stuff, and I write it into my fiction, and it's like this makes sense to me, right? Like this appallingly awful, terrible thing that is there that I wrote when I was like 16, 17, right? It's representing women appallingly because, well, you're supposed to have men fall in love with women, and I'm totally heterosexual, but I've only managed to convince myself I'm heterosexual because of this fetish, so I have to write the women with regards to this fetish, and that kind of warps, corrupts the sort of way I write. And then obviously once I have written this thing, I am now at the University of Wolverhampton studying creative and professional writing and film studies, and I'm going to be a scriptwriter of my own side. Damn it. So I go off script writing this thing. Don't think there's a problem with me whatsoever. Don't think there's a problem with my script whatsoever. But of course, I've been interested in Doctor Who fandom. And when Russell T Davies was there, when Russell T Davies was there, things were, Russell T Davies had his critics, but he didn't have this particular kind of critic that Stephen Moffat had. And so, like, Stephen Moffat's Doctor Who is, like, tied hugely with regards to sort of who I am, in that kind of, basically, I cobbled myself together during the year that Doctor Who wasn't on, and then I started college with Series 5 of Doctor Who. And Series 6 Doctor Who was my second year of college. And then, and so on and so on, stuff like that. And so by the time I'm at university, writing this series that is based on sort of arrogantly assuming, oh, well, I know everything, I think I'm equal, I think everybody's equal, I think I know how the world works, and based on, me desperately trying to convince myself that I'm heterosexual by, you know, finding these fetishes and sort of then finding myself pulled to write that into my fiction. I am then, about this time, discovering all this discourse against Stephen Moffat. Like, by the time I'm at university, there has been at least a series of Stephen Moffat's Doctor Who. There has been enough time for criticism about Stephen Moffat to reach the point of the feminists not liking him, right? And this is the moment when the privileged white man who thinks he's heterosexual, but thinks that he thinks everybody's equal and thinks we live in a world where we have defeated sexism. This is the moment when this guy comes up against the fact that actually no, things aren't equal. But do I learn about this through the statistics on rape? Do I learn about this through the wage gap? Do I learn about this through any other of the various other ways that it might be logically and sort of obviously and indefensibly clear that this is a problem? No. Instead, I discover sort of feminism and the fact that the world isn't equal through basically fan discourse of Doctor Who, right? Fan discourse of a sci-fi show. And sort of comments with regards to sexism there. So that leads me to becoming anti-feminist, because it's, you know, and because also I am autistic, right? But again, right, with autism, if you're on the milder end of the spectrum, you learn through experience, right? And so, you know, nobody writes this shit down. Nobody does, right? So you learn through running into situations, shouting your mouth off, and being told what happens when you fucking shout your mouth off in that situation, saying those things. And so basically, this was the moment when I, in all my privileged ass, arrogant ass, ignorant ass, everything is fine, misogynistic bollocks, run straight into these, you know, radical feminists criticizing Stephen Moffat, and I get my ass handed to me. So I decide, I'm an anti-feminist, are you? Oh, you feminist, you shit, blah, 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 blah. And then I promptly get my ass handed to me, because no, dude, it's 21st century, you don't get to fucking do that, right? So I've got this sort of weird thing of, it's like, I was like, all women are equal. Then I became, yeah, but they are fucking hot though. Then I became, the feminists, they are evil. And then I got my ass handed to me, and I was like, the feminists, they are scary. Do not fuck with the feminists. And that's still basically my point of view, is, you know, feminism, it's good branding. It's fucking good branding, but feminists are scary. Like trolls, you know, they can, you know, cause bomb scares and shit, but like feminism can, you know, do the fucking battle of can I on your ass, in that, like, it's an ideological contagion that affects half the human race, because, well, what are you saying? You've got a problem with female equality? So, yeah, this is the problem, right? You live your whole life thinking, women are equal, women are equal. Then you become an anti-feminist and you realize the reason feminism wins is because women are everywhere. Right? Like, the reason that I have not stopped producing videos when Nazis are literally, like, causing the police to be brought to my house is that there's a tiny amount of Nazis in the world, right? If there were as many Nazis in the world as there are women and feminists, the Nazis would just win, right? It's kind of, you know, there's a line from, and forgive me for doing, you know, what's almost a trope in my videos now, saying, there's a line in Doctor Who, but there is a line in Doctor Who that sort of, and maybe I'm just thinking of this because I just listened to a Doctor Who podcast talking about the Cybermen. There is a line in the Doctor Who sort of episode with Cybermen, the sort of modern Cybermen. I think it's actually Doomsday, where it's like this isn't an invasion. This is a victory, right? I basically realized very swiftly after becoming an anti-feminist, the reason there are no anti-feminists is because if you become an anti-feminist after you have spent your life believing that women are entirely equal, you get your ass handed to you quick. So, hence, aspiring feminist. Because it's, please, don't hurt me! I don't know anything! I will obey! Because genuinely, I didn't have a fucking clue what was going on, right? Just biologically speaking, you know, culturally, socially speaking, autistic kid with fucked up biology, right? I don't know people, and I don't know my own biology. I thought people were equal, and then these people, they criticize this show, and I don't see the problem. What the fuck's going on? And then my body is telling me things, and and so it's just like, feminists are scary, I'll do what the feminists say, and then I get the diagnosis of Kalman syndrome. And then it's like, okay, Kalman syndrome, yes, that means I need testosterone injections. And it's why I've got tits. And so, yet again, it's like, oh, my biology is crazy. My understanding of social stuff is crazy. I'm gonna run my mouth off. This can't go badly, can it? And I suppose the one thing that I have, right, the one sort of way that I can maybe try to explain this that won't sound completely insane and stupid, and I know that the majority of my vocal audience won't care because they're all fucking Nazis anyway, but right, there is this thing that I did that is stupid, but I will try to explain why I did it, and it's through essentially the diagnoses of autism, right? Again, read Neurotribes. Neurotribes explains why autism diagnosis is this way. But I didn't know this at the time. I just knew that basically autism is diagnosed for a tick sheet. Do you have this symptom, that symptom, this symptom, that symptom? Right? And so I kind of approached it in that sort of a way. I'm like, okay, you know, experiencing dysphoria, having body parts that are of the wrong gender, and requiring some sort of testosterone or, you know, estrogen in order to keep being the sort of to keep having the sexual characteristics you like. Oh, that means I've got a lot in relation to trans people. Don't say that. Never ever say that. Again, this is the problem of sort of like, oh, I see the world, everything's equal, everything is totally equal, la la la, I'm not bigoted in any way, shape or form, la la la, oh, hello, you're a lovely person, I'll make friends with you, I'll make friends with you, I'll make friends with you. Oh, yeah, so, I've now found out I've got Kalman syndrome, so I'm like you trans people. Arse handed to me again. Right? You know, it's Nazis have been stalking me. They have, because of them, police have come to my house. But feminists and trans people, they kicked my ass. They terrify me. And they didn't literally kick my ass, because that's how much better they are, right? They psychologically destroyed me. Because, well, we're your friends, and you've turned against us. And you don't want to turn against us. Because, you see, we can't allow anyone who might threaten us. And it's like, okay, mistakes were made. Mistakes were made. It's just this continual road of, I think I'm doing okay, I think I'm doing okay, I'm gonna do a thing, oh fuck, okay, thing, I'll do that, I'm doing okay, I'm doing thing, fuck, I'll do thing, yes, I will do that, okay, what, ow. So kind of, I'm reeling from, the sort of the trans backlash. The sort of, the inevitable kind of, oh, yay, I'm just like you. This is not an invasion, this is a victory. I probably should not have used that line with regards to trans people, or even feminism, but like, it's that kind of feeling of sudden, oh shit. Right? Just this moment of, oh god, I pissed off the wrong people. I suppose, no, you dumb fucking autist, do not fucking say that. But yeah, I suppose it'd just be like, the only way to describe it that's not like, the invader narrative would be if, you just suddenly found out, that by blood or whatever, well, it turns out you're the grandson of Hitler, right? It's like, oh shit, everybody hates me, and for good reason, I'm fucked. Right? It's just this moment of fuck. And of course, like, for the entire time this is going on, my biology is screwy. Just so screwy and just so a mess. And, basically about the time the sort of, I suppose, Transgate was happening, or Fanficgate, whatever the fuck buzzwordy thing, I should not have used the term buzzword, but like, I should not have done a lot of things throughout my life, including deciding to go to university to study writing. But throughout the time this was happening, I was just beginning my testosterone injections, more or less, right? And the thing about testosterone injections is they take a while to happen, right? And so this is now the latest sort of part of this story, which is that whilst, you know, I was reeling from, oh, feminists are scary, trans people are scary, my biology was going from having less testosterone than the average woman to then having normal levels of testosterone, and then being diagnosed with growth hormone deficiency and having to take pills to counter that. And right, the sort of actual process of, like, the, you know, I suppose the lift off period of the sort of the puberty wasn't so bad because it was slow, right? Take a penny, double it, round and round, where will it go, right? You know, to begin with, things aren't so bad. To begin with, it's not too odd, right? I mean, obviously, you're not talking about that kind of exponential increase, but you are talking about a steadily building increase in change to the body, right? In that, you know, you've got so little testosterone, it's kind of like, you know, the introduction to the body has to, I suppose the sort of the way to biologically explain it is, it's like, it's kind of going to be like what's going to happen to China when it decides to move beyond manufacturing, right? In America, you know, America being, you know, any, you know, normal bloke, okay, in this scenario, America had this thing where, you know, it had manufacturing, and then new technology came along, and as the new technology was making manufacturing jobs redundant, or was making it so that they could be done overseas, you'd have service jobs starting to be introduced, and that's like how sort of for normal for normal boys or what have you, the testosterone kicks in, slowly builds, gradual changes, and China is me in the sense that it's got to go from manufacturing to service jobs, and then possibly to what happens to fuck after service jobs. Like, you've got to have the infrastructure for the changes that are going to take place. It's not enough to just say, we're going to do a change. You know, the testosterone does a whole lot of shit for your body, and kind of start some of the shit it does to your body, it can only do after changes have already taken place to the body. So, you know, it's like, okay, well, if we're going to industrialize a city, you know, nowadays, you know, first we've got to send in, you know, the trucks and stuff, and then we've got to set up electricity, and then we've got to set up water and gas, and once we've got the essential, you know, arteries of the system set up, then, you know, then we've got to start paving it so that we can get the roads places, and from there we have to, you know, work out how the fuck things are going to be connected, and then you've got to build the foundations, and, you know, like, you can't do everything at once. It's slow. It's a steady do. And so, for the first year, not much was happening, right? Like, after so many months, it was like, yay, masturbation, but it wasn't. It took a while for kind of, I mean, also, like, you know, sperm reproduces on demand, right? Like, sperm reproduces on demand, and also like it reproduces as your brain sees that there might need to be some demand, right? You know, um, uh, uh, so it's you know, obviously I've got quite bad sperm. Low testosterone count will do that to you, right? And so it, you know, I mean, I'm not necessarily sure if this is biologically the case, but you know, there is certainly, to some extent, a kind of feedback loop going on, if only just in the sense of like, well, I've got this new equipment now, what does it fucking do, right? And I suppose because it's like, okay, how can I say this that isn't going to sound crass, but that will actually also be understandable? It's like with any sort of new technology, like no, I shouldn't use that phrase. Like say, you know, you've got this, you know, really hyper advanced game controller, right? Well, you know, you've got it, and it's like it's there, and you kind of you use it for, you know, your day-to-day stuff, and it's there, and it's good, right? But you can't really make use of it to do the game controlling stuff because your computer's not quite good enough, and then you get the testosterone, you know, upgrade patch to your computer, and suddenly it's awesome, right? But you know, you've got a transitionary period before the psychological effects really come into play. In the sense that it's like, you know, right, I've got this, right, I can finally use this, you know, awesome game controller. Okay, gotta figure out what it does. Okay, I've now figured out what it does. I have decided this is fucking awesome. I'm going to use this game controller all the damn time. And then, you know, and so then you kind of, to see the psychological effects of what it's like to, you know, use this game controller, you've got to see what happens once the initial figuring it out stage, you know, making sure it works properly, and you know, kind of the initial, shall we say, burst of enthusiasm has been abated. You know, you've got to let that ride out, get done and dusted before you can really examine the sort of the psychological effects of that. And I haven't, like, I did not, I need to stress this, I did not intend this to be some sort of long-term psychological this study of what the fuck was going on. I am only mentioning this because, like, I feel this 30-minute now tangent explains why I feel like my opinion here is justified. In the sense that, you know, women obviously have got their own views and perspectives on this, you know, as I have mentioned before, you know, feminism, it's fucking terrifying. But equally, I feel like men, they don't have an unbiased view of this, right? I am someone who has gotten, like, not an unbiased view of things because I don't think it is possible to have an unbiased view of these things. But I think because of my unique perspective as someone who kind of has oscillated back and forth, right? And because of my unique position, or fairly unique position, with regards to sort of the Kalman syndrome, I feel like I am able to examine the sort of how testosterone affects men, and how men then affect society, and how society affects things in kind of a way that others can't, right? And suffice to say, in case you didn't quite get the analogy, I have, for the last year, more or less, been riding out the sort of the psychological impacts of living in a world where, holy gosh damn it, women are just at the fucking tippy top of my mind all of the fucking damned time. I cannot stop thinking about women. I cannot stop thinking about the things I would like to do to women, about the things that I would like women to do to me. I cannot stop thinking about how good they look, about how nice they feel, about... There is a song by Scouting for Girls that I've listened to enough to be able to be very critical about it, because it is an incredibly repetitive song, in that it literally just goes, she's so lovely for ages. It repeats and repeats and repeats, and yet that is how my brain is. That is how my brain is. My brain just sort of screams, everybody shut up and think of the women! The women are awesome! And I've also had a lot of other stuff going on that has kind of meant I've wanted to keep this part of me that is just pure, utter, like, yes, there is good in the world and it is worth fighting for. I haven't felt much of an urge to counter and rein in this sort of, well, misogynistic isn't the right word, almost, gynophilic. Is that the right term? Sort of gynophilic, sort of desire to just praise all women and just be like, they're awesome. I have not felt the urge to sort of dampen this down so much, whilst at the same time being very aware that, like, this is an odd thing that is happening, and it is taking over, and it is, like, staging a coup against my brain of just, like, stop talking politics, stop talking Doctor Who, stop talking about autism, stop it, what are you doing? Making trolls don't matter. Nothing on YouTube matters. The writing doesn't matter. Think about the girls. so I've not wanted to kind of really challenge this kind of slightly worrying part of myself, because, like, the entire rest of my life has been grim as fuck. And so the fact that there is any part of my brain that is consistently saying, live! There is life and love in the world! I'm gonna champion that on, and I'm gonna, I am gonna be fucking thankful for it, even if there is a part of me that, comes from the sort of feminist or scary school saying, should I really be letting this happening? Because, like, I'm gonna get my ass handed to me if I don't stop this. But at the same time, reality is fucking scary. Reality is fucking grim. I need reasons to live. I'm gonna let this ride out. And I've been letting this ride out for a while. And I'm now reaching a point where kind of Well, things aren't better. Not really. They're sort of, in a way, less uncertain, but also in other ways more uncertain. Essentially, I survive now through benefits and procrastination. I kick the can down the road. I stay alive for a little bit longer. And I'm now kind of, I just don't care about things anymore because I can't. And so it's like, okay, I'm now going out, I'm going for walks, I'm listening to podcasts, I'm seeing more of the world. Seeing more of the world suggests, oh yes, I'm going on all these massive, campaigns abroad. Well, that tells you just how much I have not been anywhere other than England for such a long time, because I literally am speaking out about it in the same terms as Rome Total War. Yes, the campaigns abroad, don't you know? I've not been anywhere that's, outside of fucking England. So, I haven't, gone out into the world, but I have gone out of this fucking room and I have been observing society, and fucking hell, this is 40 minutes long. And I think I am now ready to deliver this this theory, this verdict on patriarchal momentum of sort of societal worldviews. But first, I need to have a shit. Yeah. So see you in a